Hey guys, what's up? It's Kyle here from Team Moon. And today we're going to give a deck profile on my Dark Synchro deck, and it's one of the most explosive decks of the format, well, especially before Zodiac comes out. It's also housed to one of the most annoying combos in the entire game, which would have to be the Omega Hand Loop. Now, what this loop does is it forces your opponent to start off their first turn with one card in their hand after you take out five of their starting cards, which can be a huge problem to break the rest of their board. And it's one of the reasons why this is going to get either a level leader banned or Omega hit on the ban list when it comes up eventually, if it ever does. Fuck Konami. So without further ado, guys, we're going to get right into it. And starting off, you're going to want to run your 3 Gofu, the Vague Shadow. Now, he's like a Cyber Dragon tuner. He's a level 5 Dark, which is very important for the deck, and you want to open him every single turn. Next, you run your 3 level leaders. It wouldn't be the deck without it. If this card gets hit, the deck's pretty much dead. Because you need this card to level eat your Gofu to go into your Hyper Librarian and level eat your Coral Dragon for more synchro plays and drawing cards. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. This card is insane. The fact that it's not once per turn. And if you don't open your level leader, you want to have a way to dump them. So you run 3 Armageddon Knight. Like, yeah, it can be a dead draw in the mid game, or if you draw halfway through your entire deck and you don't want to draw multiple of these. But you want to run 3 just so you can see it more often in your opening turn. Also, and almost better in some circumstances, is 3 Dark Grepher. You run this card because you run 3 Destiny Hero Malicious, so you want to discard that or discard the dead Gofu to fill your grave with more darks or set up your graveyard in any way. And then he's also a dark as well, so you can alert darkness him away if he's a dead target. And then you run 3 Destiny Hero Malicious. You run 3 of these because you're running a Synchro Turbo deck. It's almost comparable to like playing Synchro back in the day. So if you run 3 of these, it's gonna like merge well with your Plague Spreader Zombie that you'll see later. And it goes into really easy level 8 synchros. And guess who's a level 8 synchro? Wow. Next you run 2 Plague Spreader Zombies. Some people run 1, but like you need to see this card and like you want to mill it. And you do go through 2. Like I could almost consider putting in 3 because I go through that many in a single turn. It's ridiculous. But this card is the heart and soul of your Omega play in the deck, pretty much. And next you run a small Resonator engine. You run 2 Red Resonator and 1 Synchron Resonator. There's like a Goblin Bird for the deck. He's also a tuner, so like it's super important that you could summon him into your Armageddon Knight, into a Coral Dragon, and then you have Love Leader in their graveyard from your Armageddon summon. So it's pretty broken. And he's just a summonable level 1 tuner if you have control of Synchro, which you pretty much always will, so he's like a combo extender. Next you run your 2 level 1 tuners that are like very, very good for setting up your graveyard. So you have Glow Up for milling cards like Malicious and Plague and Love Leader and whatnot. And Jet you have for discarding your Malicious, and he's really good with the Excel Synchron and the extra deck, so you gotta run these 2. I almost want to put him up to 2 because sometimes I end up drawing him or milling him, and then I have nothing to send off Excel, but it doesn't come up enough that I really want to run 2, but I'm still thinking about it. And 2 tech cards is 1 Doppel Warrior and 1 Spell Striker. Now these are just combo extenders, so like you can search these off of Reinforcement of the Army, and you can also banish Doppel Warrior off stuff like Allure of Darkness and stuff if he's ever dead, but like it comes up a lot where like I just want to search this instead of like an Armageddon Knight with my Reinforcement of the Army so I can stem my combo plays more. Because this plus Plague is like a free Hyper Library and pretty much is super easy. And that's it for the monsters. Next on to the spells. You run your search cards. Reinforcement of the Army, I'd say 3/4 of the deck is like warriors, so it's really, really good. 2 Resonator calls to search out your Resonator monsters, and you need those pretty much to do a lot of your plays. And next you run 3 Instant Fusion. You only have 1 target in the extra deck, but you need to see, if you open this card, you're going to pop the fuck off, and there's no way that you're going to not loop them pretty much. It's ridiculous. You run your 1 upstart because you want to run a 39 card deck because you want to see your combo as many times as possible when you're opening hand. You run 3 Allure of Darkness. Your entire deck is dark, minus like 2 or 3 different cards, so this is just a pretty much pot of greed for your deck because you're going to have a lot of dead dark targets in your hand anyway a lot of the time. So if you use this card you're pretty much just going to plus like crazy. You run your dump card, Foolish Burial. Goes with it saying there's a lot of different cards in the deck that really work good in the graveyard, so you have to run that. 1-for-1, it gets your Love Leader, it gets your Blow Up, it gets your Jet Synchron, it gets a bunch of cards in the deck, so like it's really solid. And then another combo extender is Soul Charge. That goes with it saying it's a crazy synchro deck, and if you can just handle it more, you will. And one of the coolest cards that I have in this deck that makes it work really well is DDR. So this card basically reads, discard one card, target a banished monster, special summon it in attack position, and then whatever the fuck it also does. But the only thing you're concerned about is it pretty much reads for you. The only text you have to pay attention to is discard one card from your hand, and if you do, banish one card from your opponent's hand, because you're always going to summon back an Omega or a Plague to make another Omega, so it's crazy. So using this card, you can go through like 5 Omegas in a turn, which is crazy. You don't even need to go in the Trish, it's pretty nuts. And on for the extra deck, we have Norden for your instant fusion target. He's pretty broken. If he gets banned, which he probably will, Theseus can easily replace him because the level 5 tuner with the instant fusion is actually pretty good, and there can be changes made to the deck to work around that if Love Leader doesn't get banned. Next you run 2 Formula Synchrons. Play a lot of level 1s in this deck, and it really comes up that you're going to go through 2 of these in a single turn. If not even 3. If you can fit 3, I'd probably put 3 in here maybe, but still screwing around with it to see what's the best ratio. But this card extends all of your plays. Hyper Librarian goes really good with your Formula Synchron because you're going to draw 2 cards every time that guy gets summoned. So like Hyper Librarian, if they get rid of this card, like if they Ghost Order this card, you're in bad sorts because you really want to keep that card on the board because you're going to draw through half your deck if you do. Next you run your Excel Synchron. He's really good with your Jet Synchron for dumping cards, and he's just a tuner himself. He's pretty good. Coral Dragon meshes really good with your Love Leader because you can Synchro for this with your Love Leader, and then bring your Love Leader back, make him a level 5, and then Synchro with Love Leader and the Coral Dragon for Stardust Charge Warrior. So then you draw 2 cards, and if you have Formula Synchron, Hyper Librarian, you draw 4 cards instead, so that's pretty nuts. He's just in there to draw a card. Ancient Fairy is a kind of a weird card, but he's just a combo extender. What she does, she just special summons a monster from your hand, and you can't conduct your battle phase, but you're going to do it during your first turn anyway. And if you're going first, it's not going to matter. So this card's just a straight up combo extender, and it's also a wall. You can set on a 3000 defense if you absolutely have to, which I've only done one time, but it does come up. Next to Heart and Soul of the deck, you're running your 3 Omegas. You can't run it at any more than, any less than 3. If it does get hit to like 1 or 2, you can still technically do it. Like you can put in cards like, Pot of Acquisitiveness, is it? I think? Yeah. The one that puts them back, and then you draw a card. So you can do that to put them back in your extra deck, but like, this is the reason why you run the deck in the first place, because you want to hand loop them. And if you can't do that, well then your deck kind of just synchros for a bunch of things that are volatile to like a Dark Hole. So you want to run 3 of these, without saying. And next you run a Crystal Wing, because you can go into it and it's very powerful, and it's good to end on. Vermilion Mech Dragon, it comes up a lot. It's really good for banishing your tuners if you need something to use for DDR, like a Plague. Next you run a Trish, because the general play you're going to do is you're going to go 3 Omegas and then a Trish, so that's 4 cards. And if you have DDR, it's 5 cards. So he's pretty good, and until it gets hit again, which hopefully it never does, it's going to be a very powerful card. And lastly, you run 1 Quasar Dragon, because strictly you can go into it with Soul Charge. If you like mid-combo, draw Soul Charge, you can hand loop them and then end on a Quasar, which is pretty nuts. And so he's just in there for the one circumstance if it comes up, which it does sometimes. So why not run it, right? So that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. I'm not going to show the side deck because the format's about to change, so it's not really going to matter. But most of the stuff you're going to run would be stuff like Heavy Slump and just different things to help you if you're going second, because this deck has a big problem going second. the reason why you run heavy slump in the extra deck is because if they max you, which they probably will, they're gonna draw upwards of 30 cards. So what heavy slump does is if they have 7 or more cards in their hand, they put their hand back in their deck and then they draw 2 cards. So it's pretty much like they hand load themselves. So it's pretty crazy. And if you end on your omegas and stuff, and just wait for their standby phase, and then they have turn player priority. And after that goes away, then you can just leave the other 2 cards of their hand, and they have nothing to say about it. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. Hope you liked it, and if you have any comments to say in the comment section below, you can feel free. I do check them very, very often, and if you have any suggestions for stuff I should put in the deck or decks you guys want to see, I do have a lot of cards, and I do have a lot of different decks to show you guys, so tell me what you want to see, and then I'll try and get it for you, with my own rendition of the deck, of course. So if you guys can like, comment, subscribe, and whatever, it'd help me out a lot. I'm trying to get a few more people on the channel because I am a very, very small channel right now, but I want to give you guys a lot of content in the future, like regional coverage and stuff like that. So if you guys like me, you can go ahead and support me in that way, and I'll see you guys later. Team Moon signing out.